And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got a very, very special preview for you today because, my God, a lot of things have happened in the meantime. So Alex is with us. Alex, first of all, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm stuck in this lovely, lovely land called Ontario. So, I'm playing FIFA 22 and Football Manager like out of my arse. So it's been good. At least the transfer window's happening.
Yeah, the transfer winning happening, and just right since you mentioned it, let's get straight into it. Obviously, this is the Burnley preview, and one player that have just lost. Wood has gone to Newcastle officially now. It's confirmed it on the Newcastle have confirmed the loss, and my God, Alex, it's quite a big loss, and for this game, and B, it'll be interesting that the mentality of the group. I think after that, are they going to fall apart a little bit without their main striker, or are they going to rally together and get together? Because I mean, again against this match, nobody really saw this coming, and it came out of absolute nowhere, like some of Leicester City's transfers.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of one of those weird things because, well, for me personally, I've just been sitting around listening to, transfer rumors left, right, and center. So, like, as soon as I heard Chris Wood to Newcastle, I was like, what the heck? So, it kind of came out of nowhere. And then you hear about the whole, release clause, and you're like, no, no way, Newcastle's going to do this. And then Newcastle pays out the release clause, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. So, it's fantastic for Leicester City because it always seems like Chris Wood is the thorn in the side for Leicester City whenever they play against Burnley. So you take Wood out of the equation, all of a sudden you're dealing with Burnley. And to be honest, and nothing against Burnley, but they don't really have much this season. They've been extremely lackluster to say the least. And people could argue that Woods only had 3 goals this season, but when you look at Burnley's lineup, it doesn't really, cause much stress relief. Cause much stress when you look at it. Like, and that's one thing that I look at it, and it's great for us. It could be a pain in the arse, later on in the season when we face off against Newcastle again. But this is a positive for us because I think that with Wood out of the equation, surefire goal. Most of the time he scores against us. So I think there's definitely a good possibility of bringing back some points in this game.
Yeah, again, yeah, definitely about good. But considering the 2-2 when we played at our ground, again, it feels half the season, man. Where's it gone? I know we've been playing terribly for a lot of it, but half the season just disappeared. I remember thinking that just feels so long ago since that last result. But yeah, that's going to be a massive thorn in their side. And obviously, an ex-Leicester player doing the business for us, making sure that we're looked after. It was on the cards. I mean, I looked at his record before he scored us. It wasn't great, and it was loan us. And then he did amazing at Leeds, and he's done really good at there as well. But again, that's going to play into our hands regarding that because Newcastle, again, they've gone and done things the right way. I think that's the only real thing I've got apart from that. But in terms of Leicester City, brilliant news. 5 players back. Now we just have enough players to qualify for the Burnley game. Patson Daka's come back. Soyuncu's come back. Luke Thomas, Kieran Dewsbury Hall have come back. Not too surprising them. Probably Soyuncu was a little bit surprising, but still. Castanha's still out. We'll get on to Benkovic a little bit later. Samori's out. But one of the players I want to start with, Ethan's put in the comments, James Justin is back. This is a nostalgic trip at the moment. I mean, it's so nice seeing him back again. I think they've said he's not fit enough to start. And let's be honest. We've seen what's happened with Ricardo. We've seen what's happened with Matty James in the past as well. Let's not get our hopes up. Let's take our time. We don't need to play him game in, game out. We just need to take our time, give him 10 minutes here or there to get him back into the squad, Alex. But apart from that, it's so nice to have him back in the squad. He's been such a big miss for us.
No, of course. I think just seeing his name on the squad sheet is going to be just a breath of fresh air, not only for the supporters and the fans, but for the players themselves. What we were witnessing with James Justin last season was absolutely incredible before his injury, and then just having him crash out with such a devastating injury at that, I think was just a soul sucking feeling for not only like us as fans but for the club itself. So I think having him back on the bench is going to be such a morale booster. Sure, he's not fully fit, but I think getting him back to that level is going to be a challenge, and it's going to be a hill that you're going to have to continually climb up. But as much as as long as he's with the squad, as long as he's working in training, and if he gets a few minutes here and there, no complaints whatsoever. I think you just have to be patient. Those types of injuries are not something that you just overcome overnight. So he'll be on the bench. Who's to say he might get a few minutes at the end of the game, pending the score line. You know what? You take it game by game. You take it day by day. He's coming back. So all positives for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. All positives, and again, we'll just take our time to building back into it because again, we've got Luke Thomas back. Kieran Disby Hall, I think, is going to be a massive player for us, as well as in he was being the last game. This kind of game, we're going to need that physicality, and I think in the midfield, you look at obviously Ndidi's out, Yuri Tillemans, who isn't the most, but KDH for me, I think, is a player that comes back fit and goes straight into that first team and kind of works for us, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no argument with that. If KDH isn't slotted back into that starting 11, then he's clearly not fully fit enough. So in my eyes, it's a hard argument to say that he doesn't start. When he's in the lineup, it just seems like that midfield really works well. And when you're missing the likes of like Ndidi, that's another player that you need to figure out. So in that situation, you're looking probably at like if KDH goes in there, then I have no complaints. He's more of an attacking player, but he really dictates that midfield. And with KDH and the way that he's improved over this season, it's just been tremendous. So I think you kind of look at it right now, and this is KDH's time to shine because with Ndidi out of the lineup, Sumar is not really doing. He's not bad, but he's not at the same level that KDH is playing at. It's gonna be very interesting because when Ndidi comes back, most times you're gonna expect Ndidi to slot back in. But if KDH is on fire and he's playing at an incredible rate, it's gonna be this very awkward and difficult situation that you're gonna put Rodgers in. But at the end of the day, these are the situations you want Rodgers to be in, being like, well dang, like KDH is fantastic. I got Yuri, who's doing great, and now I got Ndidi here. Matters isn't going to get Madison's not getting out of this lineup. So you're dealing with this this massive issue or this massive problem that most people would be like, man, I'd kill to have this issue. So I can't wait to see what KDH can do during this time.
Yeah, and again, yes, I totally agree. And even some of the players, I mean, that were playing against Watford. I mean, just looking at some of the pictures that we were training, Casey McAteer's there, Will Alves, Ben Nelson, Lewis Brunt's there, Sammy Braybrook's there. I know he didn't get minutes, but there's been some really impressive. Obviously, Hamza Chowdhury at centre back as well. There's some good players in there. So at the moment, for us and the way we're performing, it's only going to benefit us. However, we are looking again. We had 8 players. Now we're looking at just about 13 with JJ not really ready to start. So we are going to have to blood these young players in. And I think this will be an opportunity we might give to some of the young players at the same time. Because Brunt has done nothing to really lose his place, to be honest. But you've got obviously Sionchu coming back and Voluntarily Campbell's there as well. Sionchu's there. Luke Thomas is there. We've got other players in them positions, but it'd be interesting to see what he does because I still think he'll go for the more experienced players. But at the same time, if they're coming back from injury, we have got these young players that have showed that they can perform at a really good level. I mean, winning 4-1 against the Premier League side, yes, it was a changed Watford side, but I still think that's a really incredible performance from the young players.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that just shows you the level of talent that we have in our younger squad and our youth squad. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what Rodgers actually does with this lineup because you're dealing with a bunch of players coming back from injury, and we're in such a weird season where not only are we dealing with injuries left, right, and center, but we're dealing with this massive, quote unquote, sickness, illness that's just been going around that just doesn't want to leave us alone. And, players are testing positive left, right, and center. So you got to be really careful. And, when I look at the likes of like Soyuncu and Daka and these players coming back from these injuries, and some might say they're coming back early. Some might say they're coming back at the right time. Why not just leave them on the bench? Like, let's be serious here. play players that you know can play the roles, and leave the players that you're probably not going to play, that are still injured, and just leave them on the bench. In my case, Soyuncu doesn't start. If
Mm.
I'm Rogers, I'd honestly lean towards playing Chowdhury as a center back at this rate. He played fantastic last game. Why not give him a shot again? Soyuncu doesn't need to start. Like why
Yeah.
why risk that injury? Daka. I
Mm.
think we're all excited to have Daka back, but play the same attacking
Front
players
three.
that we had. Yeah,
Yeah.
the front three, and just have Daka on the bench. And if a situation occurs that you need to bring him on, that's you gauge that situation at that time, and you evaluate to see if we're going to take the chance on this. But you don't want to risk it, because if we do lose any more players, it's just going to be more and more difficult, and it's tough. So I feel like Rogers is going to be extremely smart about this, and I'm
Mhm.
not really doubting him, because I feel like he understands the importance of it. Yeah, we're playing a club that's farther down in the table, but every match we play is going to be difficult no matter what.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's going to be difficult, and the thing is, we can't afford to lose. We can't chuck them in for a match, then they get in. We saw what happened with when we played Zoilo Hansk away, when we had we rescued Yuri Tillemans, but Ricardo got injured, Soyuncu got injured again. They're freezing cold conditions, but again, blood them in nicely, especially since apart from Vontae Campbell, none of the other players really put a foot wrong to me. Go right, I need to take you outside. Obviously, you got young players like Alves coming through again, 60 years old, making his debut was fantastic. Again, we got Joaquin's thoughts on that as well. And apart from that, I mean, we are in a good place. I think another issue again not another issue, another player we've got off the books as well that came out of absolutely nowhere. Benkovic. Benkovic has left to go and join Udinese on a free transfer, but his contract's been terminated mutually. I mean, it never really worked out, and it's bingo card that never played for Leicester City. He knew the manager at the previous place. He won the championship, well, the title with the previous manager. Never played for us, and at points, even you're looking at the likes of the Watford game where I don't know if he was injured, but they'd rather play two goalkeepers. We've seen it against Norwich. We played two goalkeepers over putting Benkovic on the bench. Kind of spoke volumes, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's disappointing, because I remember he came in. I think he came in around the same time as Soyuncu, if I'm correct, and he was highly
Same
touted.
day.
Yeah, so he was highly touted the same way that Soyuncu was, and Soyuncu got into the lineup, and Benkovic never did, and it just kind of it kind of went on the same trajectory the entire time he was here at the club. He went on loan a few times, couldn't make the. Not only couldn't he make the squad, he couldn't even make the bench. So you got that, and there was talk about I've seen talk just through the chat, in our previous videos that we've discussed. When Benkovic has come up, and people have said, well, why don't we try to sell him? And it's like, no offense, guys, like we're not going to get anything for him. If he can't make the Premier League, if he can't make any of the clubs on loan,
The Belgium second division, he couldn't make
yeah.
their bench. I think
So
they couldn't make their squad.
If he can't do that, like, no offense, guys, we're not getting anything for him. So, for me personally, I just feel like this is a healthy way to end a relationship that just never worked. So it's good for the club. We get him off the books. And it's great for Benkovic, because he's no longer just sitting here waiting to see, well, am I gonna ever get the opportunity? Because I'm never gonna get it here. I need to go somewhere else. So I think it's a great way to just end a relationship and end something that just wasn't gonna work. And I just hope that he figures it out somewhere, wherever he ends up and wherever he goes in his future of his career, and he establishes himself, because he's still young. He's still got time to develop, and you never know what he could be a late bloomer.
He could be. Again, there's time still on his side. He's got the ability to. And again, we've seen him on the ball. He's looked quite calm. But again, it's just not worked out in Leicester City. And that's fine. The majority of transfers have worked, which you can't say for the majority of the clubs. However, something that I was saying I was speaking to a Tottenham fan, and I was talking about how I actually like the club. And again, if we'll talk about if Tillemans does want to leave, I know that we will. He's an amazing player for us, but we will put in a new player in his position, and they will take off. And they were just going, we don't trust our club to do that, in the same way that they sold Gareth Bale and never replaced him. And so it's always a positive thing to look at, because a lot of clubs are looking at us going, that it's a bit special relationship we have. Another thing as well to kind of come in, I think Ethan's put in the comments, I didn't realize that Cornet has got big miss. He's gone to AFCON. So again, I think he's their top scorer. I think he's one of the top scorers in the Premier League as well. I think it's got the same amount of goals as Ronaldo this season. However, now they're going to be without him, without Wood. They might form that siege mentality and just go all at it. However, we need to be ready for this, because Burnley are not going to lie down. And with young players at the helm, I think it really said to me, right, okay, Brendan Rodgers knows what he's doing. And it's going to be a tough game, regardless, because our defense, even against Watford, I know they didn't attack much, but it was shaky at places, and Burnley will exploit that.
Yeah, you know what? It's so hard to read as to what you're going to expect from Burnley. You know, I could just picture a really angry Sean Dyche running like head first at Casper Schmeichel, thinking that he's Chris Wood, but at this rate, you never know. So, honestly, when it comes to Burnley, I don't know what you're going to expect, because when they're losing Cornet and they're losing Wood, those are two massive players for them, and they're not going to get anybody in, to fill Wood's role prior to Saturday. So you're really looking at this in this weird way, being like, okay, who do Burnley have? And that's no offense to Burnley,
Tarkowski,
but
we know that.
well, they do have Tarkowski, but that's it. Like,
their last three matches. Their last three matches as well have not been great. And Man United beat them 3-1, and Man United are woeful at the moment. Leeds beat them 3-1. They've been woeful at the moment. Huddersfield, they beat them at home as well. And bearing in mind, I looked at the team, and it was a full-strength team they put out. So it's not looking good for them.
Well, I also think that Newcastle's the only team. That's their only win this year. They beat Burnley. So, yeah. So, but like I said, at the end of the day, I don't want to be like all confident going into this match, being like, we're totally going to win this game, because I could totally be, kicking myself later on Saturday, being like, big friggin' mouth. I had to say that. So, the optimism is there, but that they're not going to take this game lightly. We always seem to struggle against these lower table teams, aside from Newcastle with that 4-0 victory. But we could.
People forgot they could have won that game against us, and they nearly did. It was just for that offside. It was offside, but it wasn't. It was VAR ruled it offside, and I was like, thank God. But otherwise, it wasn't looking good. So they could have won that game against us. They probably should have.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, they're missing key players, but this is going to be an opportunity for some of the younger players to be like, no, and I'm going to take the opportunity here and really take this game and really challenge Leicester, but got to remain optimistic. So I'm excited. It's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, no, I think so. And again, having a look at some of the players that we've got, and the young players that, again, Casey McAteer, Vontae Diddy Campbell, out of the team that's a bit of a vague question, but who do you expect to start? Because there's so many young players now that didn't do anything wrong. So defensively, again, we've got Lewis Brunt, we've got Hamza Chowdhury, if we're classing him as a centre-back for this time being. Again, he could play through the middle, and then Brunt could play CDM, or he could play left. Then you've got obviously Vestergaard's there, who is, you've got a few players. Obviously, James Justin is not back fit. Luke Thomas. It's kind of going to be a makeshift back line. Castanier's not fit. He's still got an issue with his thigh at the moment. But we're looking at that going, even though there's not a lot of players, it's not obvious where we need to put every single person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, even though we're bringing back 5 players, there's still gaps that we need to fill, because that Soyuncu's not starting. So there leaves a spot at the center back role that you're like, okay, who's going there? And then, with Castagna still out, you're getting Thomas back, but we don't know what level of fitness he's at. Justin's going to be sitting on the bench, so that's not happening. KDH is going to slot in automatically as long as he's fully fit. So there's 2 players, but we're still missing gaps here and there. So I feel like this is where Rodgers is just going to have to look at who he's got, what he's thought of everybody, and how they've performed over the last few games, and just kind of say, I'm going to give you another opportunity here. I'd be shocked to see. I wouldn't be shocked to see Chowdhury being, like I said, at center back, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Brunt in there as well, because he played quite well. So there's options, and that's something that I'm not going to lie, I wasn't really thinking we had when we had all these injuries and with AFCON going on. Like, I didn't expect it. So it's a great positive to have, especially in a time where there's been so many cons.
Yeah, exactly. So many cons to this. So I definitely have to agree with there. A couple of other things since we've last spoke as well, because again, I wasn't sure if we were going to do this post match, because I don't know if it was going to be cancelled. I didn't know who was going to come back, because at the time we were looking at these are less than the 13 players that are available. We're playing Nottingham Forest because they in the cup. I don't know. What's your thought? Because again, as you probably realised, we were all absolutely buzzing from that one in Leicester. It's been 8 years since we played them, and then now we've got the opportunity to. It's massive for us. I don't know what the thoughts are over there in Canada.
I'm excited. I'm quite excited. I think it's going to be one hell of a game, and that makes me even more excited. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think Arsenal were going to lose. So when I saw that, I just remember dropping my phone and being like, "Oh, it's on! It is on." My only downside is that a Canadian international actually just recently signed with Forest, and so now I'm sitting here going like, "Damn it!" Like, so happy for him, but I'm like, "Damn it! I can't." No. So
my allegiance is what's gonna happen.
Seriously, I saw it. I'm like, "That's great. Why? Why that club?" So
just after we play them, just sign them later in the window.
So it's going to be like one of those times where I'm going to watch the game and all Leicester, but every single time I know that Richie Lorea picks up the ball, I'm going to be like, "You go, Canada, you go." But at the same time, I'm going to be like, I hope like Harvey Barnes or Lookman just strips you of the ball and just makes you look silly at the same time. It's going to be a weird battle within my own head because of the Canadian aspect of it. But I'm excited. It's gonna be a good game.
I'm so excited to hopefully go to that one again. Fingers crossed I get tickets, because it's going to be the hottest tickets in town to try and get tickets to that one. It's going to be unbelievable. And I think, because again, I'll try our best, and for that game, I would love to see some of the youngsters that have that have watched some of these Nottingham Forest play over the years and going, right, we're going to smash them. And bringing through a Harvey Barnes one-on-one would be so good. Bringing in somebody like a Thomas that knows what it means to play against them, I think would be fantastic. And the other one, don't know if you've got a VPN, Alex, but we've got something in the UK called ITV. But we've got something called Against All Odds. It's a documentary. It's a 47-minute documentary. You might have seen it on social media, people talking about it. The Kasper Schmeichel. It's a really good watch for anybody. Again, they talk about Leicester for the majority of it, but they talk about a bit of Denmark and a bit beginning. And it's a really interesting watch. So if you go to ITV Player, it's called Kasper Schmeichel Against All Odds. I'll send you a link if you've got a VPN. It's worth it. Again, during lockdown, it's probably one of the things you want to watch as well, because they interview with him, Wes Morgan, Peter Schmeichel, and what's his face as well. Wes Morgan, Brendan Rodgers did it as well. So there's interviews with him, so that could be interesting to watch. Apart from that, Alex, I think that's everything we covered. Anything else?
I'm trying to go through the Rolodex right now. I don't really know.
I've got one last thing that I think this summarizes. This is something that I didn't expect Brendan Rodgers to say in the post match, but I think a lot of people haven't picked up on this. Brendan Rodgers has always prioritized signing and making young players and taking them on to the next level. I remember seeing him in the Sky Sports interview where he said he would rather develop young players than win as sort of like 5-6 trophies in his lifetime. And I thought that was really interesting. And then this quote kind of backs it up. Rodgers on the 4-1 win at Watford with his 19-year outfield players available. If that's the last game as a football manager, I would have been so happy. Seeing young players given the opportunity and seeing them take it gave me so much joy. And this is something that I realized from his post-match as well. But this line, if that was my last game in football, I would have been so happy. Again, you can't. Some people will look at this and go, "Oh no, he's saying his last game of football." No, he's just saying if that was, which we know it's not, but he was beaming more at this game in post match, something I realized, than he was against the win against Liverpool, which I was so surprised about. But at the same time, that's kind of what he's about at the same time. But I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I think when it comes to Rodgers, he expects quality from his veteran players. So a win against Liverpool, he expects that type of performance. And he wants that performance. So when they win, he goes, I'm ecstatic. This is great, but this is what I expect from my pros. From my mid-20s, early 30 guys. Like, this is what I'm expecting them to do on the daily. I think when he sees a performance from a bunch of youth in the way that we witnessed against Watford, I think that leaves a different impression on him, because I think I think the pride from that being like, this isn't Jamie Vardy playing. This isn't a 35-year-old Jamie Vardy playing, or this isn't, this is not Casper Schmeichel, who's been playing this for a while, or a Wes Morgan, or you know what I mean? Like, all these players that have played for years. We're talking with like a 16-year-old Will Alves. We're talking about Brunt. We're talking about all these young talented kids that are coming up through the ranks, and they delivered a performance that really was impressive. Let's be serious here. I think we were talking a few days prior, being like, well, we're going to probably have to deal with a bunch of youth, and none of us really felt, really.
We rolled the dice. No idea.
We didn't know what we were going to expect, and I think when you look at Rodgers and you see that type of emotion come from him in that type of situation, it's more of like, I'm so proud of these kids, because like if they can do this now, what they're going to be able to do in 5 years, what are they going to be able to do in 10 years? And I'm going to be able to look at that and be like, I am so glad that I was a part of their youth, during their youth career, and help develop them through that. And look at where they are now.
Yeah, no, definitely, totally agree. And the thing, and that's the thing. It showed with the performance as well. Obviously, we're hearing a lot more of that now. The things have come, and Brendan Rodgers has said that he spoke to the under-23s manager, and he's just said these players need to be ready whenever we need them, so they're called upon. And it showed. It's not something that's just words. It's something that they're actually putting into action as well. I mean, these players are going out and actually performing on the highest level as well. And just one more question, I can't believe I forgot it until we mentioned now. Youri Tielemans, again, he's not leaving this window. I think anything to do with Arsenal gets about 400,000 Twitter followers. So, but we'll have to see in the summer. It's a shame, but he's not going this window from what we can tell as well.
No. Let's be serious here. If he were to leave this window, Leicester would be charging an arm and a leg. Because, having someone of that quality leave mid-season, you're not going to let them go for like 40, 50, 60 million. You're going to look, Arsenal dead in the face and be like 120. Like, you want him? 120.
Yeah.
Like, he's not leaving. Do I expect him to leave in the summer? Oh, absolutely. I expect him to leave in the summer.
Not January.
Like, not January, but, I totally see him leaving in the summer. It's unfortunate to say, but I feel like we as, supporters need to come to terms with the fact that, contract talks have been going on all year, and they're just not going anywhere. And I feel like the opportunity is going to rise come summertime. Are we going to get a really great return on them? Absolutely, but I'm not concerned, because everyone kind of talks about, well, who are we going to replace him with? You got a kid, you got this young talent, KDH, right there. There's your replacement. You're going to get a bunch of money for Youri, and it's going to suck that he's going to be gone, but you're going to get a bunch of money for him, and then you're going to be able to put that money back in the squad. And you're just going to be able to redevelop that. So, it's unfortunate, but, I just feel like it's something that, as supporters, we're all going to have to prepare for, because it's going to happen.
Yeah, just like some of other players have left, when Maguire left, when Mahrez left, when Kante left. What's brilliant, again, is that we trust in our academy. We trust that we're going to bring the right player in. Again, KDH is kind of there, but we're going to need, obviously, backup to that as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit like, subscribe. That's one thing as well. You just reminded me. Fofana, yeah. has been set back another time as well. Not good. Not good about that one. But it seems to be something at the moment. Jamie Vardy's had a setback. It looks like, Johnny Evans have had a setback. It's not looking good for the entirety of January, and Jamie Vardy pushing into February as well. But it's not nice to have him set back. However, nothing we can do. Hopefully he gets better as soon as possible, Alex.
Just bubble wrap everybody. I don't know what to do anymore. It's frustrating because you expect physio to figure this out, but it seems like every single player is having some sort of setback, and it makes you kind of start to wonder things. One setback, okay, shame on me. 2 is like shame on you, and then 3 is like. So I think Evans has had one this year. Vardy's had one. Fofana's had one. I'm pretty sure a few other players have had them. So I don't know about you, but it's kind of, you start to question a few things, being like, okay, what's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on there?
Something's not right at the moment. But again, we'll have to see what happens. Again, make sure we'll be live after the Burnley game as well. Thank you guys again. Thank you, Tom. If you make sure to go check out his channel, I think he was live about 2 hours ago. So if you want to check out your fantasy, it's all over the place for everybody. Make sure you go check him out as well. Tom at Fox Fund, Foxes as well. For what happened to Fofana, he's set back again furthermore. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.